Back in 1988, CBC News took a special trip up to Wuikinuxv. It is a small village nestled at the top of a fjord north of Vancouver Island. They went up in the cold, dark days for a special visit by jolly old St. Nick. Take a look.
On a cold December morning, the eagles are awake. So are the children of Wuikinuxv. Today, Santa Claus is coming. But long before there was a Santa, long before Christmas itself, the Wuikinuxv, the people of the eagle, made this valley home. An old legend says the Wuikinuxv landed here during the Big Flood. Their canoes went aground at the top of Mount Kwama, just like Noah, and they've been here ever since. Hurry! These days, modern Wuikinuxv kids know more about Santa than about the old stories. That's because at Christmas, Santa arrives, a Santa who looks suspiciously like the Pacific Coastal Airlines pilot.
All ready to go, Percy?
Santa's loaded into a skiff for the final journey upriver to the village where the people of the Eagle are waiting.
Everyone been good? Good.
What did you get me, Santa?
Good?
Yeah.
Santa hitting the docks of the village of Wuikinuxv. Reporter Mark Schnieder filed that story back in December of 1988. Joining us now to talk about Christmas traditions and Indigenous communities is our colleague Wameesh Hamilton. Wameesh, appreciate you doing this. With the legacy of residential schools, most of them run by churches, how do you square the religious aspects of Christmas personally?
That's a good question, Dan. I can only speak on my behalf and my family's behalf. Our parents spent more than 10 years in residential school. And during that time, they didn't have Christmas. There was no Christmas for them. As was the case for many kids in residential school. Some got to go home. And they went through what they did when they got home, and then would go back to the school. For many kids, though, they were in residential school, and that's where they stayed. And my parents didn't have Christmas. As the years went by, I think in many places, such as where I'm from, Christmas became less religious and more about Santa. It became more about Santa, more as gathering as a family, more as being together as a family, sharing the good meal and exchanging gifts. So that's how I kind of square it. It's less about religion now, at least with me. I don't want to say that's the case with everybody. At least with our family, it's less about religion and more about those other things that make Christmas and Christmas spirit the way it is.
Now, did you, with your parents and family, did you mark Christmas, and how did you do that?
We did. We only had our father till I was 6 and my sister was 3, and then he passed away. And before that, I remember a couple of Christmases, especially the last one with him. It was a beautiful time, and we had beautiful Christmases as a family. I remember him and my mother putting the tree up. They'd be putting the bulbs and the streamers and whatever else on the tree. They'd be talking. He'd be joking with her. She'd be laughing. And that kind of thing, and then he was gone. And my mother's festivity about Christmas took a bit of a dip during those first few years after, but some years after that, she got together with my stepdad, and we were festive again. We'd have family Christmases again. And later, though, I should say as well, let me back up a step. I mentioned my stepdad. My stepdad got to be Santa at a few of our band's Christmas dinners. And he relished the role. He loved the role. He had fun. That being said, he used to say later that it was for the kids. He'd see how excited the kids were, and it became about them. So he in his own way was festive as well. So we marked Christmas. We had Christmas holidays as a family. There were a few of them that were tough years after our father had passed. Things went on the upswing again, and they've stayed on the upswing since, I must say.
And lastly, we appreciate your time. How are you going to celebrate Christmas this year?
How will I celebrate Christmas this year? Well, we continue to value and cherish what my mother did, and that's being together as a family. We celebrated Christmases with her, except for those Christmases that I went up north with to visit my wife's family during Christmas time. Otherwise, we spent them with my mother. She's been gone since 2008, but that's what she valued, being together as a family, enjoying a meal as a family, just being together as a family. We continue to value and celebrate during Christmas time, and as we'll do this year, as we've done for the past 10 years we've been here. All my children live here now. They're grown now. They're grown-ups now. All four live in Vancouver, one in Nanaimo, but she's coming for Christmas. We mark it together as a family, the way we have been, because I don't know of any other way.
Wameesh Hamilton, we appreciate your time and your perspective. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Dan. I wanted to add something, if I might. In the Christmases I spent up north with my wife, to see my wife's family and her people, I had the occasions to witness a service at their church that was conducted by a minister who was Indigenous, who wore, for instance, their button blanket that men do. And he conducted some of the service in their language. And I believe some of the songs that were sang after were also in their language. And I had never seen that before. And I was quite taken aback by that. It was really something to see and more something to hear that really stands out in my mind. It's like they absorbed Christmas to a limited extent. It didn't displace any of their traditional ceremonies. Christianity didn't absorb them and displace them completely.
Thank you, Wameesh.
There's something to watch.
Cheers.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.